Yay.
Hey everyone, this is Shelly Walsh with Good Karma Ranch Alpacas, and I'm going to be talking today to Stacie Chavez, who is the managing partner of Imperial Yarn, and that's located in Terrebonne, Oregon. Imperial Yarn is a natural fiber company focused on growing and manufacturing clothing and home textiles all in the United States, and we love working with Stacie and her crew at Imperial Yarn. So welcome, Stacie.
Hello.
Thanks for doing this.
So fun to see your face.
Thanks for doing this. So I just want to give people a feel for Imperial Yarn. I know we have some questions that we kind of put together for our talk today. So again, I really appreciate you doing this. Absolutely. So to start off, how long have you been part of Imperial Yarn?
Wow, 5 short years ago, we purchased Imperial Yarn from Imperial Stock Ranch, which was located in Antelope, Oregon. We have, over the last 5 years, I've learned so much, but Imperial Yarn was born in 1999 as a value-added hand knitting yarn company. When we purchased the business, they had just completed working with Ralph Lauren on the Winter 2014 Olympics. That's how we found out about them. And they were primarily a wool grower. And so we thought it would be a beautiful blend to buy a wool company and bring our lovely alpaca fiber into that. Since we've purchased, we've expanded into clothing and accessories, as well as home goods. And then we work with a lot of large brands. And then we also we started 2 years ago working with ranches just like yours on a program called Brand Your Clip. And so we actually take fiber from ranches and work it all the way through the process, or a ranch can buy product made with American grown wool and alpaca and choose the products that work for their mix for their stores.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love everything about that. And I appreciate the background and where it got started and now where it is with you as the managing partner. It's very exciting. Can you tell everybody a little bit more about where you get your fiber, where things are made, why you choose to mill in the United States, and anything else in there that you would want to share at this point?
So where we get our fiber is we partnered up on the wool end with a ranch outside of Sacramento, California, who is part of the Fiber Shed Climate Beneficial Verified Carbon Farm Program. We're working with our rancher, who is Ryan Mahoney of Amy Livestock. We're very transparent about our grower partners. And then our other main grower of our alpaca is Little Creek Farm Alpacas, Lynn Edens. She was the first climate beneficial verified alpaca ranch in the US, which is just amazing on the commercial end. And Ryan was probably the second sheep rancher to be climate beneficial verified. And what that means is they adhere to a carbon farm plan that is reviewed every year, and we test the soils to see what we're doing as far as sequestering carbon, which is a whole big, I can't even say sequestering, it's a whole big program, and it seriously is a soil to soil. I look at it as a circle. And what we do is we don't use herbicides or fertilizer. We use the livestock animals grazing to fertilize the fields. And I just, again, as we grow the plants, I think of the grass growing that the livestock eats. That growth, that forage needs the carbon from the atmosphere to grow. And so if you think about this grass reaching up and grabbing that bad carbon down, bringing it in through the system, and then it releases fresh, clean oxygen into our atmosphere. And so we, again, that's the climate beneficial part. Then as far as manufacturing, most of our wool is grown in the Western US, and then it comes to the East Coast for processing. We wash, we card, we spin, and then we knit or we weave our goods. And a lot of our business is a hand knitting yarn that is sold all over the US, both online and in local yarn stores.
Love
Did
it. So
I cover everything?
Yeah, I think so. I do want to dig in a little more to climate beneficial. So we've been working with Imperial Yarn for a few years now, and doing and doing more this year than we've done to date by far. I'm really excited about the products that are going to be here.
You remember the first time with the yarn? I remember sitting down with you with yarn kits. It's so funny how much it's grown.
Yeah,
as you've grown, we've grown, and we've grown.
Everything's grown. Yeah, and it's great, and I've learned so much from you. I think what drew me to your products at first were just the quality of the products. It's such high quality products. I'm actually wearing one of my ponchos that you all made. But I think what keeps me intrigued or fascinated is, the eco-friendly approach in which you're doing things and the way things are evolving. That's really up our alley. As you know, we've talked about, we run our farm 100% on solar, and the eco-friendly process of raising alpacas, the sustainable renewable fiber. I mean, that whole aspect of alpaca farming is really important to us, and something that really has become more and more interesting to me over the last several years. So I did want to talk a little more in depth about the climate beneficial fiber, the carbon farming, regenerative farming, holistic farming, all those things that you talk about a little bit more. I know you touched on it a little bit, but anything else that you want to pull in there? And it doesn't have to be just alpaca, because I know that you do sheep also. But anything else you wanted to share with people about that process would be great.
When I think about our climate beneficial program, I think of a soil to soil circle. And so we start with soil and we plant grass. And again, you have a plan in place for that. And then as that grass grows, you rotate your animals through who are chewing it down so it can regrow. And then it enters into a fiber network where, it's washed, it's scoured. And then once that item is made, which is the best part of this, because it is 100% natural fibers, when you're done with it, what do I do with an old t-shirt or an old wool hat when it no longer has any life left? So many people anymore have a compost pile, and you can literally take that hat and go throw it in the compost pile, and it will return to dirt. So again, back to soil. And so it's just this cycle. And along the way, as that grass is growing, we are drawing down on that bad carbon in our atmosphere, bringing it in through photosynthesis, and then returning that fresh air and cleaning up that atmospheric air. Our team that is working on the climate beneficial verified program have all got our sights set on what we call bending the curve. Right now with our air, with these fires, the hurricanes, all these things that are happening out in the climate, we are on this trajectory just to continue straight up. What we're trying to do is bend it. And we have learned that if we don't go tear down buildings and put a farm there. If we just farm in a carbon farm plan / regenerative agriculture or holistic farming, if we adhere to those practices, we can clean our air, and by the year 2100, return our atmosphere to what it was before industrialization, which to me, that just speaks volumes. I mean, this summer we had air quality of 648. We were so beyond we were 6 times beyond hazardous air. Usually at about 100, you stay in your house. We were at 650 out cleaning our fields and trying to take care of our animals wearing masks because the air quality was so bad. And to be a part of changing that and having clean air for our grandkids, our great grandkids, is so important to me.
Yeah.
And
yeah, totally get it. I appreciate you going through that process. I know you turned me on to learning more about the fiber shed process. So I have talked about that in a past blog, and learning just a ton about all of that and natural fibers and just how much plastic is in our clothing, you know, and just amazing how many garbage trucks of old textiles make it to a landfill every second. I think it's 3. It's crazy. So, you know, if we can cut down on how much plastic is in our clothing, synthetic fibers, and use more of the natural fibers. And then if we can do it more with farms that are in this karma beneficial farming practice, it just seems like it's a no-brainer to me. I don't know, but I'm fascinated by it.
So interesting that you say that, because the first time I sat down, so not only do I buy all of my fiber off of one ranch, prior to that, he was selling everything through the National Auction House, and most of his wool was going to China. And this is a big sheep ranching farm. And when I sat down with him and approached him about becoming climate beneficial certified, he looked at me. We were at a restaurant. He looked at me across the table and he said, all you're asking me to do is write down on a piece of paper what I'm already doing. Because if I didn't do these practices, I wouldn't be a successful rancher. And that has really, it resonated with me because, wow, so many of them are already doing it. And now we're just putting a label on it, advertising and letting people know this wonderful work that not only are they willing to continue, but they've been doing it for generations. And the other thing with him, let's touch a little bit on American manufacturing.
Yeah.
So much of our wool was going out of the nation. We produce more wool than we consume in this country. So we have to be able to export it. But to have someone that 5 generations, he has grown wool. He had never had anything made out of his wool until a year ago. And he showed up at our house 3 weeks ago. Wow. And my dining room table was covered with product that we're making for brands and for sale in our own line, and blending his wool with alpaca and with cotton, and things that we are offering, again, under our own label or under someone else's label. And he sat there, I thought he was going to cry. It was the most rewarding thing for me to be able to hand him something made. Now I'm trying to make him baseball hats because he wears a hat all the time. But I mean, it started out as hand knitting yarn, and he had somebody make him a hat. And then last Christmas, his Christmas gift was a hat and a scarf. And it's just been fun to grow as our product line has grown with him and with our alpaca, and be able to share that with these people that, again, never had that opportunity before.
Yeah, I love it. Very exciting. So I guess industry hopes, visions. Now, if we could talk a little more like maybe specific to alpaca. I know we've obviously the carbon footprint thing is definitely in your, you know, in your future and in your sights for hopes and visions for our industry. But what else do you think, Stacie, in the next little bit? What are your hopes and dreams for our alpaca fiber industry in the U.S.?
My hopes and dreams, God, I would love to be able to sell all the wool and natural fibers that we create in this country. My hope is to continue to grow across the U.S. these carbon farm plans, and just have this offering of natural fiber that we know the animals were cared for, the land was cared for, they're doing proper rotational grazing, and they, at the end of the day, that's probably the mark when I walk away from the fiber business, is to know that I made a difference and I was instrumental I. There's no I in team, but our
Yeah.
team was
Yeah.
instrumental in helping move that movement forward. I'm kind of on the back end of my career. I have 10 more years maybe to work. And so now I'm working with these younger people, and I want to set the pace again,
Yeah.
to make a difference, to have fresh air to breathe and these lovely farms. I love living on a farm. There's no, even when it's snowing, and you can relate, I mean, the animals have to be fed. We don't get a day off. They need to eat every day. And I love the peace that we get from that.
Oh,
So,
for sure. Definitely. And when
yeah.
people come and then they contact you back and say, someone just yesterday on Instagram said, thank you for that little mental break in my day, but coming to the farm. And I didn't meet her. Mike does the farm tours during the week, but to see that note on Instagram, I mean, for what we sort of take a little bit for granted, it was, yeah, it's amazing. So
It is. I mean, they're amazing animals. I'm probably the best producer of fertilizer for our gardens and
mm-hmm.
our pastures is alpaca poop. It's the most, we don't talk about it, and it's just got amazing properties. I used it this summer in my garden, and it was amazing, the vegetables we grew.
Yeah.
And then they even got to eat some. I shared my squash.
I know we could do a whole nother conversation on alpaca manure. Maybe I should. I'll have to write that on my list of things to do. Well, Stacie, thank you so much for doing this. We are, like I said earlier, everybody, we are going to be getting our line of clothing in from Stacie at the beginnings or so of November, to include the cable knit ponchos that we had last year, but in many more colors, and I'll have many more this time. Last year, I kept running out of them and frantically calling Stacie and Tangi to say, help quick, ship more.
You know what you don't know? I'm a little surprised. We decided to do the lighter weight poncho too.
Oh,
so
great.
We also have those this year. Sorry.
Awesome. No, it's great. And we're also going to be doing all of our winter beanies, our winter hats will be coming from Imperial. And surprise, we're going to have our little leather logo on there. You guys are going to love it. It looks so cute. And some mittens, or not mittens, but gloves and fingerless gloves coming as well. And I've also added, well, I have a ton of yarn from you guys and always have, but we have the pattern book now. So you'll be able to come to the store and say, oh, my mom knits and I want her to make me a scarf. And you can actually pull a pattern and pull the appropriate yarn and then give your mom something to do for you. So Christmas gift. So I'm excited about having that as well. So more to come when the products get here, but we're really excited. And Stacie, I can't thank you enough for everything that you've been teaching me along the way and for taking time out of your day to do this interview. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Stacie.
Go USA.